We are going to be taking a quick look at joshmayfieldart.com today to go through the steps to be able to make any changes, to be able to add new content, things of that sort. So we come here and we log in at joshmayfieldart.com/wp admin or wp-login.php. We'll send you a link for that. And you come in here and almost everything on this page is completely useless. But over here on the left side we have these menu items, and they are very important, and they are how you are going to be able to make adjustments to your site and add new content. We have updates over here. You don't normally need to deal with updates. We will take care of those every 2 to 3 weeks. Twice a month we will come in and make updates in here and be sure that everything is running as it should. We have this one down here right now that's not actually updating. That's an error on Slider Revolution's part. I'm sure they will have it resolved shortly. It just came up today. But otherwise everything is updated and Slider Revolution is working fine too. We have post here, and on your site I don't believe we're using any post. No, we're not. So we'll trash this and get rid of it, because we don't need that on there. We don't want it accidentally showing up ever. If you ever do use posts, they function essentially the same as what pages do, and so when we get to that part you should be able to have a basic idea of how to use them as well. We have media here, and we have the media library. It has all the images on the site. This isn't useful most of the time. There's not much of a need to ever come in here and deal with things directly here. Normally you're doing it in some other place, like in homepage areas, or in Revolution Slider, or within a widget, or page, a post, something else. So most of the time you don't need to be here, but you could go in here and look at all the images that you have. Every once in a while that's useful. We have forms here, and on your site we have a contact form, and I believe that's it, and that shows up at the bottom of every page, I believe. Yeah, this Let's Talk thing down here. And let's see, let's make sure. I think it does show up on every one. Yeah, so it's a part of the footer. And we go in here and click edit, and all we have is name and email. So this is very simple. A lot of times we have more complex forms than this, conditional logic, calculations, all sorts of things going on, but this is very simple. So if you ever want to make a change and you just want to say yo name instead, then you can do that. You can say y'all's email, whatever you need to say. You can make those changes. If you want to make them required, you can make them required. You can make some changes over here to the field size, and you can make there be conditional logic so that these pop up when certain other selections are made, but we won't worry about that too much since you only have these very simple things in here right now. If you ever want to add something else, you just click it and drag it over here. These fields are largely self-explanatory, and so you can say pick some options, and then just enter in whatever you want, and that will make a drop-down menu that looks like that. You can't click it right now, but you could otherwise. And when you want to make this live, you click Update Form. You'd think you could click Preview and then you'd be able to preview the form, but it doesn't work that way. It's a misnomer. And so the word preview only works once you've already saved it, and so it's not much of a preview at all. But it does exist there, and so once you update it, if you just want to take a look at it before you actually look at it live on the site for some reason, you could do it that way. So just be aware of that. Know that preview won't be helpful. An update form is the only way to be able to make it so you can actually see what it's doing. We have form settings here, not much of anything that we need to be doing in there. I'm just going to leave. We don't need to save that. You can make adjustments to the form title or the text at the bottom. Instead of saying, right now it says submit, you can make it be whatever you wanted. We want to enable the anti-spam honeypot here. Confirmations are what come up after someone has entered their information. And so right now, then we have a default confirmation, and it just says, thanks for contacting us. We will get in touch with you shortly. You can make that say whatever you want it to say, and then click Save Confirmation, and that would make it live. You can also add media to this, and so you could put in a little picture inside there if you want it to be that it has something else going on. You can make it redirect to a different page on the website, or you can make it redirect to an outside website, something that's on another website. So you can make it go to google.com, or wherever you want it to go. So then we have notifications here. And this makes it so that you get a notification when someone has submitted something. And right now it's just set up to admin email, which is set over here in general settings. And so if someone ever contacts you, then you can see that it's happened there. We have entries here. And then all we have right now is just a little sample one from David. Name, email, let's talk. Gets it going. Settings you don't need to ever change in here. If you ever want to create a new form, you click New Form, go through the same sort of steps like we looked at before. Integrating these into pages or posts or in a widget area we'll show you in a moment. We have pages down here, and the pages on the website are largely controlled here. There are parts of them that are generated automatically, and so then these pieces here, they come about because of WooCommerce, and so that's a little different. And I really want this to be full width down here at the bottom. I'm not quite sure why I don't have it that way. I'll probably change that here in a moment. But we have all these pages here. Some of them you can edit more directly, and some of them not so much. So we go into checkout, and this should be blank, except for it has a shortcode for WooCommerce checkout. But not much you need to do there. If you want to change some of these other pages, though, then you can. You go in here and you click Edit. This is the About page. Oh, I guess we don't have anything in About. Oh, we're just going to Biography. Okay. Well, let's go to Biography then. Alright, so we have our words in here. Make changes like you would in a word processor. So you want to make this Kansas City bold because you're just proud of your Kansas City roots. You make it bold. Or if you want to go even crazier and say this whole paragraph is just the most important, then you can make it bold, and then you could also make it be a header so that it's super huge. Anytime along the way you can click preview and see what it looks like. And it's looking pretty big. Looks kind of sharp actually, but probably a little bit too much of that big text. And so we don't really want to keep it that way. That's fine. All we've done is preview. It won't be live until we click update. We can put an image up here at the top. Click add media. And then you can add media. You can choose these things over here. You can also change them once they're actually in there. And so you can make it align to the center, align to the left. Right now we're going to make it to the left. And we're going to just leave it at that 300 by 200 size there. And we'll check it out and see how it looks. We got that in there. I think we got a little bit of something funny going on over there. But that's okay. No, I guess it's because this is on that header size, and we don't really want that. Yeah. Anyway, so you got that there. You can see if it looks good. You decide, I want this to be a little bit bigger. And you can make it any of these sizes that are preset, but you can also click Custom Size, and it will keep your ratios correct for you so that it doesn't get skewed looking. I'm going to check it out now, and then we say, that is absolutely perfect, just the way we want it. And so we leave it like that. We have several other things up here that we can add in. Of course, you can link things up. Just enter in wherever you want it to go, and you can make it go there, like entering the actual link. You can also search for something else on the page, like cart. And then the page that has the cart on it, then it will link there. And then it goes. And then you can preview, make sure everything looks good the way you want it to. And that looks nice and red. Several other things you can add in here. You can add in a slider here in the middle of this, and so you have that slideshow on the home page. If you want to put that here too, then you can make that just pop up on in the middle of the page. And maybe it doesn't fit in perfectly with the rest of this, but you can do it if you want to. That's your prerogative. And let's see if we have anything else. I don't know if we're using Foo Gallery. Let's see. I think we are. Yeah, there we go. We got this graphic design stuff here. So you can insert those the same way. There we go. We've got quite a page going on here now. Might be a bit of a mess. I think that's everything with that. We don't need to worry about layout settings. I won't say you don't need to worry about SEO, but you can explore that on your own. And then we don't need to worry about any of these things down here. So none of those things really matter too much for us at the moment. One thing that we do need to cover. See how this up here, we have your face in that spot? But then that's not where it would naturally be. It would naturally center this. And so if you need to be able to get that better looking, then I believe we're on home top for up there. And we could make it go somewhere else. And this will go live for just a moment. So everyone will be seeing your belly. Didn't take for some reason. We'll put it back the way it was. I think it's not. I think it's doing it because of the preview there. I'm going to put it back just to be safe. Anyway, that's how you do it. And if you were to click update, I think then it would go. I think that's the reason why we're having some trouble with it. But we want it to be set the way that it was. If you decide you want these things, you click update. If you decide you don't want this page to show up anymore, then you can change this over to draft. And then that would not be visible to anyone anymore. You could also make it pending review. Not too sure why you would ever need to do that, but you could. And you can also make it so that the visibility is something other than public. You can make it private and you only view it, you're the only one who can see it, only if you're logged in. You can make it password protected, and then when people come there, they have to enter a password to be able to proceed. But we don't want to do that right now. We're going to leave all these changes and just make it be the way that it was. If you ever end up deleting something, then it will show up in trash that's right here. We don't really have anything that we want to delete right now, but we'll go and delete the store for just a moment. Comes over here. Don't worry, it's not gone forever. You can always come in here and click restore and it goes back. And the same thing happens on posts and on several other parts of this website. And I don't remember which ones for sure altogether on this one, but it will always be a way that you can save yourself from trouble and heartache. You can add categories. We're not using them on this site, or tags. We're not really using those on this site, but you can still do it anyway if you so choose. We're not having comments enabled. We have Foo Galleries here, and this is for the graphic design portion of your website. We come onto this page here, and these things that show up in this spot, that's where they come from. It's from right here. So if you want to rearrange these, you click and rearrange them. If you want to add more, you come in here, you click Add Media, and then it's there. If you want to delete something, you click on the little X. If you want to make the sizes of the images a little bit different, you can adjust them down here. When we click on these, they pop up nicely. They look pretty beautiful. So that's really all that you need to know about it, except for, we saw before the way to insert it with a little button. You can also just click on here, and then it copies it for you, and then you can paste it wherever you want. You can add a new gallery. You can try out different templates besides what we have set up on there right now. Feel free to experiment as you please. Then we have homepage areas, and the homepage areas, as the name would imply, control areas that appear on the homepage. And you'll notice that these are not in order. They are in order over here under this place that says reorder. Right here they're in a random order. Let's go to the home page and we'll see what's going on here. So we have the slider. Nothing really to ever do there that you need to do directly through the home page area, because it's just a short code that makes the slider show up there. The actual changes to that happen down here, and we'll talk about them in a moment. But after that, then we've got this thing about what Mayfield art is all about. And let's use, though, well, we can look at that real quick. All this is right here is a little field that looks just like what the page did, a little editor here, and it's just heading 1. That makes it look like that. But down underneath here, let's get rid of some of these things that we don't need to actually have on here all the time. Yeah, that gets us to where we need to be. Down here, you'll notice we have these different options, and these control what happened there on that home page. And so you can add a background image, like some of these things do, like a background image is on this one down here. This one here is plain, though. You do need to make a couple of other choices, though. You can make it a different background color. By default, it's just going to be white, but you can make it some other color, and you can make that even without having the image there. If you want to have an overlay of a color on an image, then you can make it so that's partially transparent. If it's at 0, then you can't see the color at all, and if it's at 1, then you can see only the color, and anywhere in between then creates a transparency where you can cover up the image a little. Decide if you want padding or not. Most of these are going to need padding, and so normally you're going to check yes. The only time you don't need to have padding checked is for something like the slideshow, where you want it to go the full width of the page anyway. You can make it extra tall, extra narrow, extra short. You can change the horizontal background position of the image, and that won't make much of a difference when it's on a desktop size, or even probably a tablet size for most tablets if they're full-size tablets. But once you get down into mobile devices, then it makes a big difference where the horizontal position is. And so this is set to nothing right now in particular because there's no image. But you can also change the vertical background image, and it can only be adjusted a tiny bit. But sometimes that can make a difference. You can't adjust it very much. It doesn't make too much of a difference. We also have this option down here for left-right product pods, and we'll show those here in just a moment. So what we have after that is we have these things that go left and right. So we've got Brazen Hall over here, see it, buy it. Poor George, see it, buy it. And let's check out one of those. We'll do Poor George. And we have our text in here. This is what shows up in this little box here. Or here, I suppose. Poor George, see it, buy it. So we have this. It's header 1. Underneath it, we have a link to see it and buy it. It goes to the product, Poor George. How do we know where that is? Well, we could go find it and actually copy it in, but right now we want to do that, and we type in Poor George, and then there's the product, and then we've got the right link right there. The other thing we need to do, though, this is just a link right now. If we didn't do anything more, then it would just show up very similar to what this looks like. It'd be red, but it would just be plain letters. What we need to do is make some selections over here, and in this case, brown text is on there, and I don't know why. It doesn't need to be, but everything else does. There we go. And so we have this button set up right here, and the button's the key part right there. And we need it to be white text on there too, because we're having white text on top of there. And it's easier than making the text itself white, because we could do that right here, but then we wouldn't be able to see it anymore. And so it's easier to do it over here. So you have the button and the white text. That makes it so it shows up as a button, like this should right here, with that funky stuff in the background. I spent quite a while on that funky stuff too, and it's a little bit weird, but I think it fits your site well. Choose the background color. This is the background color that goes behind here. And so then when we're doing the left-right pods, it doesn't apply to this here. It applies to what's behind this side here. On your site, you're special. Most of them aren't that way. The transparency, you could still adjust that, but it needs to be at 1 most of the time for these. You don't need to put any padding on here. These are different. You can't make a fixed background image, but you can. I'm not quite sure what it does. I suppose you could. That would make it so then this stays in place and scrolls behind while this stays still. Over here. But you wouldn't really normally want to. These other things you don't need to adjust. Everything else can stay the same. All you really need to worry about then is the left-right products pod being checked so that it will make sure that it goes into this format. And it automatically makes it so that it will go left and right. So the first one will go left, the next one goes right, and then we go on and on and on like that. And so you don't have to worry about trying to arrange those or anything like that. And overall, that's the whole point of this site, is to not make you have to worry about arranging too much, just filling in content. And that's something that you should be able to do, hopefully. If you're done, you click Update, it becomes live. Down on this next one, though, you see we have that image staying back. The passage is number 1. It stays in place. Passages number 1. I think oh, that was Tatanka before, huh? Looks like we didn't change the name on it. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. Let's change that. That way we don't forget in the future, and actually we'll save this one in a moment then. So we have the image selected up here, and you can pick any new image you want from inside here. We don't have any sort of background overlay right now, but we could. If we decided that's a little bit too busy, we could make it a little bit of black in the background there, covering up that a little bit so that it's more, the text on top of it's more visible. We have padding there, and we have the background image fixed. That means that the background image stays in place while the other stuff passes over it. Let's go ahead and make that change for just a moment. And we're going to get rid of that just so you can understand the difference that we're talking about here. You probably do anyway. You're probably able to follow along, but just in case. Now, see, that stays right there with it. I think maybe I like it better that way. Although at some point I did it the other way, so sometime I had a different opinion. Now we go back, and it's as it was. We have another set of left-right product pods here. Got our paradoxical and symbolic. And we've got you back there with your story, and you can get the full story, so on and so forth. Now, if you ever want to add new homepage areas, then it's very easy to do. So we add a new one, and we say some more art. And let's make this one just a regular one first, not one of the left-right ones. Then we're going to say, boom, new art. And then we're going to put the button down here, so we get to practice that as well. Button. A lot of exclamation points going on. It's crazy. So we make that a button. Let's make it some white text. I guess we better link it up. And we'll link it to google.com. Let's get an image in here. I think we want to do some graphic design stuff. Let's do these business cards. So we've got them behind there. we're going to do a text color overlay here, just so you can see what that's like. Let's do it something else, though. Let's do something a little bit more bold. We're going to add some padding. We're not going to make it fixed right now. We are going to make it extra tall. And now we're going to click Publish. And this will be live for a moment. There are probably not very many people on your site right now. We'll hope not. Come over here. You see we got this some more art. And we're going to throw it down to the bottom so that the fewest people have a chance of seeing it. And now it's already saved. You don't need to do anything else to save it. It just automatically goes there. So now we click Refresh. And we have our place there that says Boom Art. Got that new thing in there just like we want it to. Now, let's make this fixed. Now that we have that color back there, it's kind of hard to see this. Let's make it white. We're going to click Save. And now we got it there. And see as we scroll along, now that stays in place. I think we got some good stuff going on. But not good enough. And so I'm going to throw it away. This functions just like the pages did. So you can go over here. Oh, that's where we already are. Sorry. Now we can go over here to trash, and we can restore it, or we can delete it permanently. And I want to delete it permanently. Now we come down here to WooCommerce, and there are a lot of things to look at in here. We will not cover everything about WooCommerce today. You can make changes in here on your general product settings, things to do with shipping, how you want to charge that. You can do it with your checkout and have different options as they go out. We can't go through everything that there is in WooCommerce right now. If you have specific questions, we will gladly help you. But there are a lot of different things to look at. And right now, let's see, we need to look at PayPal though, huh? I want to make sure that you're set up in the right way. That it is your email address. It's not. And so right now, then I would get paid. So we need to get that fixed. And we would not keep that money, obviously, if anything like that happened. But we need to make sure we get that changed over. More important right now, though, we need to get our products fixed up here. And so we have this long list of products. We have a lot of them. And we're first going to go in and edit one and then show how to add a new one. So we have passages number 4 here. And within this, we have its name. We're not using a description at all, it looks like, and so we're just having the basic information. We don't need this stuff. Let me go ahead and get rid of that so we don't have to worry about it as much. And those other things we actually do need. Down here, the most important parts. We have the product image. And so you just set what it is that you want this to be, whatever image you want. If you have other images of it, like maybe a zoomed in version of it or something, then you could go in here and then select that and add it to the gallery, rather than just having the single image that way. Most of these things here, they're mostly self-explanatory. You could set some things about weight and shipping information. All that we're going to be looking at really right now is the cost part of these things. And so each one of these comes with canvas, poster, print. You can add those in there. You want to change the price, you can change them here. You can set those all to what you want them to be. These are set from these variations here, and we're going to use those in a moment. Those are important to know. If you want to add a description that shows up on the page, then you can enter it into there. We just have this set up like this, without anything there. I believe that our... Well, let me see where this goes right now. I don't remember how we set this one up and where that would go if you did add it. It does not go on there at all right now. That's really what I was thinking. We might have just set it up so that it doesn't. Let's check about our short description and see if it does. Nope. If you end up needing to have those show up, let us know and we will change it. Right now we don't have those in there because that wasn't a part of what we were putting together, and so we didn't want to clutter it up with things that weren't necessary. Alright, so if you want to add a new one, You come in here, you click new art. Come down here, let's set the product image first, just so we know what we're dealing with. And all my sons. Well, let's say that this is a poster. It looks about poster size. And down here, we have this part with the attributes. We need to change this first of all, though, over to the variable product. That's what we need to do first, so that matches what we were doing on the other one. And we need to get that other page back open, too. Remember down here when we had these things? We need to keep those. All you're doing is having the attribute, so that means like each kind of thing that can be sold of this product, and then it's separated by those vertical lines. I actually don't remember what you call those right now, but shift backslash. If you do that, then that should get you there. We come down here and we say we want to add some new ones, and so we don't have anything right now, so we click add. What did we call this over here? Type. And so we'll do the same thing again. We're going to click used for variations, save attributes, and now we come over here to variations, and we click create variations from all attributes, and then we click go and OK, and then it tells us that those were added, and now we have all three of those existing. Now in each one we have to go in and say what is the price, and we're going to say 50 and 500, and then finally 50,000. Alright, so now we click Save Changes down here, and we're going to preview this whole thing to see how it looks. We choose which option we want. We choose Canvas, and it's $50. Poster, and it's $500. And aluminum, it's 50,000. Let's go with that. I'm feeling kind of generous today. Go to the cart. We see that we have these things here. It looks like I picked up something else before that I never quite ordered. We're going to proceed to checkout. Go through all the steps. We enter information. We order. We pay with PayPal. We're good to go. But we don't want to actually keep this one. So that's how you add a product. Hopefully that makes sense for the most part. It's a bit overwhelming, all the options that exist within WooCommerce, but that should get you close. If you ever want to delete one, of course, you can hit trash. You can also just make it so that it's not in stock right now, and so make it out of stock if you're out of those for some reason, and that should mostly cover you. Hopefully that helps you enough with the WooCommerce part of things. We go down here to Appearance, and we have Widgets. Widgets on this site don't control all that much. We have the header, so that's our menu, and then we have it saying Mayfield Art. Oh, we just have the title up there. That's how we did it on this one. And when we're not using a sidebar or a secondary sidebar, and then home top, then all we're doing is we're having these list of items. And that one doesn't need to be there. And yeah, everything's good there. Luckily that wasn't causing a problem. We don't have anything in home bottom or footer left or footer right. We do have something in footer 1. And so that's our form. All you do with any of these widgets that you want in there, you just click and drag them. And so then we have a lot of different options on here because of WooCommerce being in there, and that expands it a great deal. But if we want to do a form, for instance, you make a form, choose which form you want, decide if you want the title and description to be a part of it, and you can set the title up here as a custom one if you prefer. We don't have anything in these that needs to be adjusted directly through it. We have the social menu and we have the home menu, but nothing much need to change. It won't be often that you need to come in here. Maybe you will need to do something every once in a while, but not much. Most sites have more things in the widget area than what you do. Go over to menus, and menus are very easy to use. This is the social menu. If you have something besides these ones you want to use, you can add them in. You have to type in this little code here for what it looks like. I need to find some new way that's a little bit more user-friendly, but it's fairly intuitive. And so then if you want it instead of Facebook to be LinkedIn, then you typed in LinkedIn, and then you type in the correct link up here. But if you ever need help with that, let us know. more importantly, we have the home section up here. You might want to add more. You have room for more. A lot of sites we have don't have any room. You have tons of room that you can add new menu items in. So you can go crazy. If you want to add something new, you click on the page over here, and you click Add to Menu, and it comes over here. You can drag it wherever you want it to be. If you want it to be a sub-menu item, it goes there, off to the right of whatever item it is. But if you want it to be just a regular one, then it goes to the left. You can also add post, products, or custom links. Custom links, then you can make it go wherever you want. And then now it's there. Click and drag, make it be wherever you want. Any of these other categories or WooCommerce things as well. When you want it to be live, you click Save, and then it becomes live. We have plugins over here. Nothing much you need to worry about there. If you want to add new functionality to the site, let us know and we'll help you out with that. We have users. So if you want to give access to the site to someone else, then you can do that. Right now it's just me. We need to add you onto here, obviously, so that you can make changes to the site as well. If you want to add a new user, you click Add New. I don't know what your email address is, so I'll wait until I know that to add you. But we can have Josh May. And put in the email address. You can enter the name, website, etc. if you want to. We have password down here, and it has a default one that's very secure, and that's wonderful to use. If you don't use that, don't do anything like password. That makes your site more vulnerable to being hacked. And so do something that is exciting. And then you can at least make it something that's maybe a little bit easier to remember than what the other one is, but try to get it to be strong. Definitely don't make it weak. If you make it weak, then it will make you confirm the use of a weak password, and I don't want you to ever do that because it makes your site vulnerable. You have these different roles. Some of them have to do with WooCommerce. Most of the time, if you're adding someone, then you're going to add them as an administrator. That means they can do whatever they want. But if you think they need to do something less, you can choose one of those lower levels. Don't need to make changes in settings for the most part. SEO, there are some highly specific things you can change, and you can look through those if you'd like to, but for the most part, then that plugin does a good job taking care of itself. We'll get rid of duplicator here in a moment. FooBox just makes it so that things pop up nicely when you click on an image on the site. And multi-plugin installer you don't need to worry about. Slider Revolution controls the slider on the home page, or any other slide show that you want to do. Ooh, they just came out with 5.4 now. I did not know that, and that looks exciting. But that's not what you're excited about. That's what I'm excited about. We have these slideshows down here. Here's what's most important. We have these different sizes for different devices, and everything rearranges. Anything that you change on a lower level will not impact a higher level, and many of the higher level things will not impact the lower levels either. For the most part, they don't either. And so you need to make sure you click through every one of these if you ever make a change. We have this group here that's set so that in that way we can make it so it's very much centered. You can click Edit Group Layers, move this around where you want to. If you want to change the words, then you can type them in right there. Check to see how it looks. All these things have animations associated with them. That's how they pop in different ways. And you can set them as you want. Right now it's set up on a custom one, but you can switch it out to whatever you want to be on here. And make it be from the right. Change the amount of time it takes. You can even change up the timeline down here so that they come in at different points along the way. You want to check out how they look. You click play. See if that looks better. It doesn't, but it could. If you want to change the style of these things to make it so that this is some other color, you can change it to another color. You can make it so that it has a background. And that's starting to look pretty beautiful. And you can make it with padding, so that then there's some space around there. You can make sure that it's centered. Look at that. That is just lovely. We decide down on this lower level that we want it to get smaller because we don't think we have enough room for that. You can make it turn into 40 pixel words, 40 pixel font size, and then see it still stays the same there. And what's more, it stays the same down here too. It's the same both places. There we go. A lot of other things you can change on here. You can make it so that instead of having that solid background, you can make it one of the images, one of your paintings. If you have one of these paintings in there, then you can make it so that it zooms in or zooms out. It's not doing it right now, but it would if we previewed it, hopefully. There we go. And see, it's slowly zooming out. We can make it more extreme. Let's see how that looks. Now it's moving very quickly. A lot of other adjustments you can make, a lot of details. Slider Revolution does incredible things, and you'll want to experiment with that some maybe at one point or another. But for now, what you might want to do the most is just change out individual components of it. So you decide you want to have a different thing there besides George. You go in here, you double click it, you choose your new painting, put it in that spot, and that's probably not quite right. Where do we click that? Maybe those are just the exact same. Oh, there we go. Once you do that, the buttons changed on this new version. And so I'm having a hard time finding them. I didn't realize that had disappeared. There should be a little thing here that makes it so it's the right ratio. But now it's the right one anyway. Well, if you need to, you might just have to insert a new one, because that button's just not there anymore. Okay, well, instead of doing that, we'll just have to insert a new one. And when you insert a new thing, you just click Add Layer. You can put it in there. You realize that doesn't need to be that height. And so you can click and drag just like you would in anything else, and make it smaller, make sure it fits in that spot. Get it in there. You want to look through each place, make sure that it is where you want it to be. And so we see there, that's not quite right. Need to make it a little smaller. You can adjust it for that size. And you go on each level and make sure that it aligns where it should be. At any point you can do things like making it centered, so then that way it shows up in just the right spot. Hopefully that's enough to get you going on Slider Revolution. I'm not sure how much you're going to be wanting to make changes to these anyway. And so if you have more questions though on this, don't hesitate to let us know. And I don't think we're using Google Maps on here, even though we have that listed. So I think that should be the basics of your website. Let us know if you have further questions. We'll be happy to help you out. We want to make sure you have a smooth, easy experience with this. And as you have needs, text, call, email David or maybe Becca, and they will be able to help you out a great deal.